The political establishment is in full damage control mode after a decision that has sent shockwaves across Britain's political landscape. Keir Starmer has found himself at the center of a brewing controversy that's threatening to expose fundamental weaknesses in his government's approach to security and community relations. The ban on Maccabi Tel Aviv supporters from attending their Europa League match against Aston Villa in Birmingham has triggered an unprecedented government intervention, with ministers scrambling to overturn what they're calling a fundamentally flawed decision. The crisis began when Birmingham's Safety Advisory Group made the extraordinary decision to ban away fans from the November 6th fixture at Villa Park. This wasn't just any ordinary match restriction. West Midlands Police classified the game as high risk, pointing to what they described as current intelligence and previous incidents, specifically referencing the violent clashes that erupted during Maccabi Tel Aviv's match against Ajax in Amsterdam last year. The police assessment painted a picture of potential public disorder that they claimed they couldn't adequately manage. But here's where the story takes a damaging turn for the Starmer government. It has now emerged that the Home Office was briefed about these potential restrictions last week. The UK Football Policing Unit has confirmed that ministers were warned that a ban on visiting fans could be among the measures taken to police the fixture. This revelation has left Keir Starmer's administration facing serious questions about why they failed to act when they had advance notice of what was coming. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch hasn't held back in her criticism, describing this as evidence of a weak government that fails to act when required. She's demanding answers from Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood about why her department did nothing to avert the ban when they knew it was being considered. The government's defense that the Home Secretary wasn't informed of the final decision until it was made public on Thursday night is looking increasingly inadequate as the political pressure mounts. The Prime Minister's response has been swift and unequivocal. Starmer has been described as angered by the decision, with Downing Street making it clear that while this is technically an operational decision, the government is perfectly entitled to speak out on fundamental principles of fairness. The Prime Minister has stated categorically that he will do everything in his power to give Jewish communities the security they deserve, calling the ban the wrong decision. But the government's scramble to fix this situation reveals deeper problems with how these decisions are made and coordinated across different levels of authority. Discussions are now happening at pace across government to overturn the ban, with multiple ministers getting involved in what should have been prevented from happening in the first place. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy is meeting with officials to discuss what more can be done to resolve the situation, while Community Secretary Steve Reed has been on the phone with Birmingham City Council trying to find a way forward. The Home Office has offered additional support to police in Birmingham, essentially admitting that the original assessment of the security situation may have been flawed or at least manageable with proper resources. This raises uncomfortable questions about whether the ban was necessary at all, or whether it represents a failure of planning and resource allocation that the government should have addressed when they first learned about the potential restrictions. The international implications of this decision are significant. UEFA, which runs the Europa League, has urged UK authorities to ensure that Maccabi Tel Aviv fans can attend the match, emphasizing that fans should be able to travel and support their team in a safe, secure, and welcoming environment. The governing body's intervention adds another layer of pressure on the British government to resolve this situation quickly and effectively. The ban has also exposed divisions within British society and politics. While the government and opposition leaders have condemned the decision, some local politicians have supported it. Independent MP Ayub Khan, whose constituency includes Villa Park, has welcomed the ban, citing safety concerns and pointing to what he describes as previous incidents of violence involving Maccabi supporters. The reference to the Amsterdam incidents is particularly contentious. While West Midlands Police have pointed to violent clashes and hate crime offenses that occurred during last year's Europa League match between Ajax and Maccabi Tel Aviv, the full picture of those events is more complex. Reports suggest that while there were indeed violent confrontations, the circumstances surrounding them were complicated, with both sides bearing some responsibility for the escalation. What makes this situation particularly damaging for Starmer is the timing and the broader context. This comes at a time of heightened tensions around anti-Semitism in Britain, following recent attacks on Jewish communities, including a deadly assault on a Manchester synagogue earlier this month.
This is real change that people will see in their communities up and down the country. I set this out, Mr. Speaker, because it again speaks to our approach on the world stage, as do our deals with the United States and the EU, and the approach we bring to crises and conflicts as well. Because instead of threatening to walk away or indulging in the cheap political theatre that comes from castigating our allies that we need to deliver peace and economic stability.
The government has been under pressure to demonstrate its commitment to protecting Jewish communities, making this ban appear particularly tone-deaf and poorly timed. The Jewish Leadership Council has been scathing in its criticism, calling it perverse that away fans should be banned from a football match because police can't guarantee their safety. Their statement that Aston Villa should face consequences and the match should be played behind closed doors if fans can't attend safely adds another dimension to the pressure facing authorities. Maccabi Tel Aviv's chief executive Jack Angelides has expressed dismay about what this decision potentially signals, using language that gets to the heart of the broader concerns. He's pointed out that the team has traveled to other countries where the sentiment toward Israeli teams isn't particularly kind, but police were deployed in force and there were no incidents. This comparison makes the British authorities' assessment look overly cautious, or potentially influenced by factors beyond pure security considerations. The government's current position is that they're exploring what additional resources and support are required so that all fans can attend. This essentially admits that the problem isn't insurmountable, but rather a question of resource allocation and planning. The fact that this wasn't addressed when the government first learned about the potential ban suggests a coordination failure that opposition politicians are likely to exploit. Simon Foster, the West Midlands Police and Crime Commissioner, has called for an immediate review of the decision, while the local mayor has suggested that the government could cover additional policing costs to make the match viable. These suggestions point to practical solutions that could have been explored before the ban was implemented, raising questions about why the process moved so quickly to the most restrictive option. The broader implications of this controversy extend beyond this single match. It raises questions about how Britain handles security assessments for events involving Israeli teams and individuals, and whether there's a consistent approach across different authorities and regions. The fact that the government was caught off guard by a decision made by local authorities suggests potential gaps in coordination that could affect other similar situations. For Starmer personally, this represents another test of his leadership and his government's competence. The revelation that his administration knew about the potential ban but failed to prevent it will be seen by critics as evidence of reactive rather than proactive governance. The scramble to fix the situation after it became public suggests a government that's being driven by events rather than controlling them. This pattern of public failures and embarrassments raises serious questions about whether Starmer is truly up to the job of Prime Minister.
It's quite long. We've called it the Starmer Gaff Reel. Here he is, our Prime Minister, who answers to the name of Mr. Bean.
Call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the hostages.
Have you lost control of your MPs, Prime Minister? Will you rule out?
좀 오십시오. Okay.
Not lost a game under the Labour government of 2024.
Is football coming home, Prime Minister?
It looks like it.
Well, welcome. And it's good that we had a long conversation on the phone. When you want, give me your hand there, pal. And we're the best of allies, maybe in the whole world. And we really need to continue to cooperate. And a lot we can talk about.
A document. This is sorry about that. This is it.
A very important document. A letter. He sent his best wishes and his regards, of course, but he also asked me to bear this letter and bring it to you. So can I present the letter from the King to you?
Thank you very much. A great, great gentleman.
That we we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech.
The international dimension adds another layer of complexity. Britain's relationship with Israel has been under strain over the situation in Gaza, but this domestic decision about a football match threatens to create additional diplomatic complications. The strong reaction from Israeli officials, including Foreign Minister Gideon Saar's description of the decision as shameful, puts additional pressure on the British government to resolve the situation quickly. As this story continues to develop, the key question will be whether the government can successfully overturn the ban and allow the match to proceed with all fans in attendance. The early signs suggest that there's political will to make this happen, but the practical challenges of coordinating between different authorities and ensuring adequate security arrangements may prove more difficult than the political rhetoric suggests. What's clear is that this controversy has exposed weaknesses in how Britain handles complex security assessments that intersect with community relations and international sensitivities. The fact that a local safety advisory group could make a decision that creates national and international controversy suggests that the current system may need reform to ensure better coordination and oversight. For Starmer, the challenge now is not just resolving this immediate crisis, but demonstrating that his government can prevent similar situations from arising in the future. The pressure is mounting for his administration to show decisive leadership and restore confidence in its ability to handle sensitive security matters while upholding principles of fairness and inclusion.